Today we'll be looking at cornerbacks that are free agents and who the Jets should pursue. Hey, what's going on? I am Matt O'Leary, back with another video, and today I'm talking about cornerback free agents, players the Jets can pursue, why I wouldn't pursue some other players. We'll get through it and all that fun stuff. Before we get started, I am Matt O'Leary. You can subscribe right here or subscribe to the Just Jets Clips channel, all that fun stuff. Need you to support the Just Jets podcast, really means a lot. And you could also follow along with me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. So now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, let's dive right into this video. The number one free agent cornerback is J.C. Jackson, and there's a good reason why he's the number one corner. He is 26 years old, and after Stephon Gilmore moved on from the New England Patriots, well, he played a ton and was really good the last 2 years. He's been mostly a man coverage guy, which the Jets don't necessarily play a ton of man coverage. They are more of a zone coverage team, but I mean, this is just someone who could do a little bit of everything for you at the cornerback position. Like I said, he's someone who stepped right in for Gilmore and played at a very high level, which is not an easy thing to do, taking over for him, and he was just as good as Gilmore. 8 interceptions to only 3 touchdowns this past year. 8 interceptions. Think about that. That's an insane number. 12 pass breakups. Over the last 3 years, 8, 9, 5 interceptions. He's a ball hawk. He's able to intercept passes. He's able to get your offense more possession. I don't usually love the idea for this Jets team spending big money on cornerback, but if you are going to do it, this is the guy you pay. This is the one. He's young at 26 years old. You're probably looking for a 4-year deal, I would imagine. $72 million, $18 million a year, probably in that range. Is that a ton of money? Yes. Is he worth it? Probably. There are very few cornerbacks who can do what he can do. He's a top 10 corner this past year. Again, interception machine. I'd be curious. I don't think the Jets go this route, but I'm not opposed to the idea because of how much of an impact guy that he is at the position. We're going to step down a tier or maybe 2 tiers, honestly, for the next few guys on this list. They're kind of all in the same ballpark, which is fine, but you know, we need to talk about it. The next guy on my list is Darius Williams. He's 28 years old. He's a steady cornerback. He's not really going to do anything flashy, but what I do like from him is he plays opposite of Jalen Ramsey, so obviously he's going to get picked on a lot, but he holds his own. He only allowed 3 touchdowns this past year. He's a little on the smaller side at 5'9", but he's a really good tackler, which, you know, surprising at that size to be that good tackling, which matters. The Jets are not great tacklers, and last year it showed in both the run game and in the short screen game. Their corners struggled to make tackles. Their secondary struggled to make tackles. He would not do that. I think he'd be a really nice running mate for Bryce Hall on the other side. He can play in zone. He could do a little bit of everything for you. And this is probably going to be like a 3-year deal, I'd imagine, maybe in the $30 million range, so like $10 million a year. He's a steady player. Is he like a surefire number one? No, but is he a definite outside starting corner that would improve your room? Yes, I think easily. The Jets wouldn't necessarily have to ask him to be their number one. I think he would just be solid, and you'd have another solid corner across from Bryce Hall and another solid corner in Michael Carter and solid depth in Brandon Echols. I think the Jets can get by with solid in the cornerback room. I don't think they necessarily need a star, but Williams is, you know, a good corner. Next up on my list is a fan favorite from last year, and that's Steven Nelson. Now he's 29 years old. He's another one who's a really great tackler. Last year, he only allowed 4 touchdowns. He had 1 interception, but over the last 3 years, he's allowed under 600 receiving yards each of those years. Steady. He's not too flashy. Probably a little bit of a lower ceiling guy than Williams, who we just talked about. He's physical. He's better in zone than he is in man. He seems to fit the bill. Again, it's not a super flashy signing. I don't think you'd have to spend big bucks for him. Maybe like 2 years at $7.5 million a pop, somewhere in that range, I think is probably fair for him. A fine starting outside corner. Again, and the Jets are, I would think, are probably going to add a veteran, and he would fit that bill. to me. Next guy on the list is a little boomer bust, but I think I'd be willing to take the risk on like a 2-year deal. He's still young, and that's Dante Jackson at 26 years old. He has really good speed. He's better in zone. He's a good athlete. He probably should intercept the ball more than what he does based on his athleticism and his ability to read the quarterback. But I think this is a really good player and someone who's still young and still has some upside to grow even over the next couple of years. I think you're probably looking at like $9.5 million, maybe not quite 10, but at like 2 years. So 2 years, 19 million, somewhere in that range. Is it my favorite option of the bunch? No, but there is some intriguing traits about him that would at least have me interested in having the conversation if the Jets should bring him in. Again, not my favorite option on this list, but I don't think is awful where, comparatively to where he is going to be price-wise. Next up is Rasul Douglas, and man, did he have a resurgence. 27 years old, interception machine. He had 5 picks with Green Bay last year. You have the Joe Douglas connection, obviously, as he was in Philly when Rasul Douglas was drafted a few years ago. He's streaky corner, but he's really good in zone. A ball hawk the Jets need, and probably like a little bit of a cheaper option. You're looking at maybe like 2 years, $7 million per, 2 years, $14 million. I think there's some upside there. And again, you're not going to have to lock yourself into this long-term expensive deal with him. And he could potentially outperform what contract he's going to get based on his performance from last year. Not necessarily a definite bona fide number one corner, but has potential, steady cornerback. Again, has the ball hawking ability. The Jets desperately need guys who can intercept passes. And, he fits that bill for sure. We saw it in 2021 with Green Bay. Now, the last guy on my list is kind of different from the rest, and he's an older veteran, but I think he could fit the developmental role, and not him developing, but helping the Jets' young corner room continue to develop, and that is Joe Hayden. He's 32 years old, going to be 33 eventually at the start of next year. That is your veteran experience. No, he can't play press coverage anymore, but I don't think the Jets would have to ask him to. He could still play in zone. He's not great against the run, but to me, this is someone who looks like, remember like in 2008, the Jets brought back Ty Law, and he kind of took Darrelle Revis under his wing for the remainder of that year, and he was pretty good, but not great. Well, that's kind of in the same boat. Like Joe Hayden, one of the better corners of this last generation. Come in, you give him, $5 million on a 1-year deal. It'd be cheap, and he could help guys like Brandon Echols, Michael Carter, Bryce Hall all take their game to the next level. If you do this, you're probably drafting another mid-round corner, which I'm totally fine with, and helping that developmental process along. He's someone who's had a ton of experience in both Cleveland and Pittsburgh, is still good even at this age. Again, he's not going to be a phenomenal corner, but is he someone who can help this young group along? I say yes. And I'm really intrigued by him, especially on a 1-year deal, kind of like how other Jet fans wanted Richard Sherman last year. Similar kind of bill, not going to be super costly, going to be 1-year deal. If it doesn't work, you can get out of it pretty easily. So I would take the risk that's involved in bringing a guy like him in. And then I'll get to 2 no's, and they're 2 guys who are probably a little bit more on the popular side. The first is Carlton Davis. Couple reasons why I don't think he's going to be worth a cost. He's going to get probably upwards of $15 million a year. Injuries and not a very good tackler. So I don't want to necessarily invest all of that in a player who is 1, injury prone, and number 2, limited as a tackler. Again, good player, but injuries play a factor here, and I would lean towards no. And Stephon Gilmore, while I think showed last year that he could still play, I worry about the age and price factor. And I know you're going to say, well, didn't you just say Joe Hayden? Well, yeah, but Joe Hayden's not going to cost you nearly what it's going to cost to get Stephon Gilmore. He's still going to be asking for big money, and I don't know if I'm willing to pay that price for a corner at his age, so I'm leaning towards no with him. Let me know who you would like the Jets to target in free agency at the cornerback position down low in the comments. You could also get at me on social media. Remember the Patreon, patreon.com/MattO'LearyNY. Yesterday, we had a nice write-up and data look at the NFL draft wide receivers the Jets can target in the first round. Ton of fun going on over there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.